On this episode of Micromatic, we're gonna find out what's in this bag. On an earlier episode of Micromatic, I walked you through the contents of my camera bag right here. Mostly as a means to share with you, give you an idea of the equipment that I'm using personally. You can follow me on Instagram to see the kinds of photos that I'm getting with that equipment. But to be honest, it's been a while since I recorded that video, and this camera bag is no longer my camera bag. Well, okay, it's still my camera bag. It's still here. But this is my new camera bag. So in the last video, a lot of people asked me what exactly is this camera bag model. I spent a lot of time going through the insides of the bag, what I had inside of it. I didn't talk too much about the bag itself. So just to answer that question quickly, this bag here is a Domkey F5XB. And this here, my new camera bag, is a Domkey F5XA. A is just a little bit smaller. And as you're gonna see, I've reduced my equipment quite a bit. I walk around with a lot fewer lenses than I used to walk around with, and so a smaller bag makes sense. So without further ado, let's open this bad boy up and see what we got inside. So the camera that I'm rocking lately is the Olympus EM5 Mark II. If you are at all into camera gear and Olympus Micro Four Thirds cameras, I'm sure you're aware of what this camera is. At this point, maybe you could say it's Olympus's top of the line camera, and I'm using this camera now instead of the Olympus EP5, which I was previously using. And I'll be honest, there's not a whole lot about this new EM5 Mark II that's better than the EP5. Most of it just kind of comes down to small preferences. All the photos that I'm taking with this camera, frankly, I could take with the EP5 as well. There are just a couple of quality of life things that I like better about this EM5 Mark II. One, with the viewfinder attached, the EP5 is actually a little bit bigger than this is, and so this fits into the smaller bag a lot easier. And then the other thing, this is very, very particular, but it's a small improvement in the software that allows me to display the histogram on the camera at the same time as the magnification box, or the little focus box that appears when you're using the camera. And because I'm almost always using manual focus lenses, I need that little focus box up, and I also want to be able to see what my histogram is showing me. So small improvement that, on paper doesn't sound like anything interesting, but for me, it makes a big difference in just sort of quality of life. And so that's why I've been using the EM5 Mark II. So now on the front of this camera, I've got the Olympus OM 50mm f1.4 lens. It is it's an old lens. It's not made for Micro Four Thirds cameras. I've got an adapter to connect it to this camera. I've talked about adapters and adapted lenses in the past before. I really, really enjoy shooting with manual lenses. It was not something that I knew I would get into when I started getting into photography. I had no sense that getting an old adapted lens would be the most satisfying way to take pictures, but for me, that's sort of how it's worked out in the last year or so. Maybe I'll change at some point, but right now, just the way that I take photos, really like these manual lenses, and this 50mm f1.4 is a particularly good lens. And then the adapter that I'm using, this is something I've talked about, again, on a previous episode of Micromatic. I'm actually using a Metabones Speed Booster, which is not your everyday lens adapter. So the Speed Booster, obviously not a normal lens adapter. It works really well with these old legacy lenses like I've got here in the camera to give me a little bit wider angle of view, reduces some of that crop factor that you normally get with a Micro Four Thirds sensor, as well as it makes it so that you can gather more light. Basically, you can shoot with higher shutter speeds at a given aperture rating. That's pretty nice. So now normally I don't really think that a speed booster is the right choice for most people as a lens adapter, just because it's so expensive. If I'm just using this lens, which I paid about maybe 90 bucks for, it doesn't really make sense to get a $400 lens adapter for a $90 lens. However, if you are crazy like me and you are all into manual lenses, then it might make sense if you're using multiple lenses with the same mount, and that's what I've got here in this bag. So I talked about reducing my bag from the old Domkey F5XB down to the Domkey F5XA, and the reason I've been able to do that is that I've reduced my lenses down to just 3 lenses, right? So I've got this 50mm f1.4, And I've also got the Olympus OM 24mm f2.8. The 24mm f2.8 lens is a nice wide angle. You put it on the speed booster, it basically gives you the same field of view that you're gonna get with an iPhone, or like a 35mm lens on a full frame camera. So I like that quite a bit. Very sharp lens, especially once you stop it down like f4. And then on the speed booster, you're actually getting the light of an f2.8 lens. Really quite enjoyable. And yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about these lenses except that they both use the OM lens mount, which means I can use the same speed booster with both lenses. And that's also true for my third lens, which is the OM 100mm f2.8 lens. And what I really like about the OM lenses is that, so here I've got 3 lenses covering my wide angle, my normal field of view, to my short telephoto field of view. And I've got these 3 lenses all fitting in this tiny bag because even though these lenses are made for old full frame film cameras, they're actually still pretty compact. They don't have any autofocus bits in them. That helps keep them compact. But also really Olympus has just kind of always been, they've always been very conscious of keeping cameras and camera gear small and light as possible. And so that's, I get these 3 lenses on the speed booster. It's all really compact, fits in this compact bag. And with these 3 lenses, I can really do all of the photography that I want to do. I don't have autofocus, so maybe I'm not doing sports photography, but I don't photograph sports anyway. I mostly take landscapes photos or just kind of daily life photos. And for me, these 3 lenses, they do everything I need. You can see the bag is otherwise empty. Well, maybe you're seeing back down here, I've got some silica gel for your moisture control. That's not exciting. I have a microfiber towel, also not exciting. And then the last thing I've got on here is a polarizing filter, which is 49mm, fits all 3 of these lenses. Again, Olympus being very thoughtful in giving all their lenses, well, most of their lenses, the same filter size. And because I expect people are gonna ask me about it, the camera strap that I'm using here on the EM5, not the one that came with the camera. This is a braided rope style camera strap. I've tried a bunch of different camera straps. Generally, I like short ones, about 30 to 35 inches long. This fits right in the middle. It is, I think it's Lance camera straps. Basically, I got it from Etsy. I get a lot of my camera straps from Etsy because it's kind of cool too. So if you log into Etsy, search for camera straps, you can find all kinds of different things that people are making out there. And it's neat to be able to get something that's handmade and a little bit different than what you're gonna see everybody else have. So now you know what's in my bag. I'm kind of curious, what's in yours? Leave a comment down below, talk about what you keep in your camera bag and how it suits your personal style of shooting. If you like this video, you can hit the like button down below. If you want more videos like this, just subscribe to the channel, and then I'll see you in the next episode of Micromatic.